Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me. I am still Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com. It is still in the description below. It is still your purchase and pricing email question line for buying this or any watch you see on any of our platforms. Please reach out to me directly. I am Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for pricing. Today we're discussing a watch launched in 1998 that ended the long succession of Tudor Submariners inaugurated back in 1954. This is the Tudor Hydronaut, the first generation Hydronaut, reference 89190, and it was made from 1998 to 2006 before it was succeeded by the controversial Hydronaut 2. There's very little that is controversial about this watch, however. It's just too new for a lot of people to think of it as vintage or collectible. But then again, that's what they said about Big Crown Submariners once upon a time. This is a great way to get in at the ground level of something not yet recognized and yet very important and desirable. So the watch in steel measures a very reasonable 40 millimeters and an incredibly thin 11 millimeters thick, which is delightful on a dive watch and almost unheard of today. 47.1 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip. It has a standard 20 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Out of the hand and onto the wrist, you can see that the watch is very, very wearable. The lack of a solid end link bracelet means that it is super far inboard of the edges of my wrist. Very comfortable. Again, 11 millimeters thick with sloped bezel. This could be your dress watch. This will easily slide underneath the cuff. And you can see how much clearance I've got lugged to the edge of my wrist on each side. So this watch could be worn on a wrist as small as 14 centimeters circumference with no problems whatsoever. The Hydronaut 2 of 2007 was a very controversial watch. The Hydronaut Chrono, Hydronaut 2, the Iconaut, not everyone loved them, mostly because they were ungainly and oddly proportioned, whereas this watch is beautifully proportioned and detailed. It has a bracelet that feels almost like the love child of a Jubilee and an oyster. So it's got decent structural integrity to it, but it also has these polished, narrow intermediates that give it a little bit of a dressy vibe. Taking a look in profile, you can see impressively for a watch that was considered to be affordable at the time, it has removable links fixed by screws, not pin sleeves. Remember back then, Omega and Tag, which were competitors to Tudor, they were both using pin sleeve links. Now, if you look inside, you can see that there is a fold-out dive extension. You simply dismount it and pull it right out. And so once you've got it out, it'll give you about, I would say 30 to 40 millimeters of dive extension for use over a diving suit or a thick winter coat. But then you've also got many individual divots inside the clasp, so you can change the anchoring point of the bracelet to fine-tune the fit. So you've got the ability to pull out the extension, remove or add links, and then use all of these different stationing points. And as you move the clasp, anchoring point in and out, you can really fine-tune the fit. Tudor watch coat, Geneva, Switzerland. This was after the end of the sharing of cases with Rolex and Tudor. These are now exclusively Tudor branded. Tudor is becoming more and more its own brand. Now, taking a quick look in profile, what I have to say is that it's a really good-looking case. You could see that the unusual use of polish and satin creates a medley of handsome and intriguing contours, particularly on the crown side. You can see there's almost a polished sort of organic horn or hook or beak-like shape to the points where the polish interacts with the satin. We also have these beautiful integrated lugs. You can see how the case flows from case flank to lug and then tapers down. We've got holes for your strap tools if you want to swap to a strap. We've got integrating end links that better mate the bracelet to the case. Tudor crown on a trip lock. You can see the 3 dots, a little bit of a legacy of the Rolex connection there. It is a screw-down crown. The watch is 200 meters. We've got a bezel that is 120 click and super refined. Honestly, I think it's even more refined than a Rolex bezel of the same period. It's as soft as something like a modern-day Cartier, Calibre de Cartier diver, but it is 120 click, and despite being very refined, it is distinct. You're able to place it accurately. There's a nice sharp hybrid knurling. You can see a combination of polish and media blast outboard, and then we have this lovely expanding profile in black to represent the first 15 minutes of the dive. We have a lovely frosted bezel with blackened numerals and these lovely polished raised and relieved indices. We do have a little luminescent bezel pearl, which I've lined up with the minute hand right there. So we'll turn the light off and get a look at this watch. You can see this is after the era of tritium. Not only is it easy to line up the bezel pearl with the minute hand, but all three hands are lumed, so you do know the watch is running in the dark. That's important for diving. We have a lovely and luxurious dial that feels more expensive than the watch watch really would have been, as we have applied rhodium-plated steel indices rather than printed features. You can see this is technically the Tudor Prince date Hydronaut. It is part of that series. We have a lovely serif font used for the date disc, and we have a Rolex-style Cyclops eye. And then underneath the case back, we have an ETA 28242 in high-grade top form. And this watch, automatic winding with bidirectional winding action, 38-hour power reserve, stop seconds, quick set date, 25 pivot joules, 4 hertz beat rate, and a very capable all-arounder, not just in terms of its durability, but its sartorial flexibility, as you can wear this watch gracefully with almost anything. And I would even say that the case contours are more animated, more intriguing, entertaining, and at least to my eye, more pleasing than a Submariner. You can see this trick of the eye where the lugs continue almost all the way up to the top of the bezel to give them a beautiful, full, voluptuous form that would be lost if they were cut off at the base of the bezel. The watch would look a little bit awkward and utilitarian, whereas here it looks rich and sexy. A really special piece and probably one of the best kept secrets in the market. Get one now. We'll all wish we bought two someday, one for the wrist and one for the safe. This is the next generation of Tudor Submariner in all but name. Reach out to Team Mosso at thewatchbox.com for purchase and pricing details.